Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, everybody. This is Doug Evans, host of Missing Power Radio, where we bring you exciting, inspiring, and informative interviews with a wide variety of speakers to help you find deep down inside of you that power you have but have not used to excel yourself to the greatness that you have been predestined to achieve. Today we're going to have some fun. We got a little twist to today's show that we'll get into in just a minute, but be sure you have a pen and paper nearby. You may just find that pearl of wisdom that you're going to want to capture in your notes and use each and every day. Before we jump into today's show and talk to our special guest, I'd like to invite you to visit www.discoveryourmissingpower.com. Please sign up for our free newsletter and learn more about our coaching program and my upcoming speaking schedule. Today's guest is a live encore performance and an interview with Rob Mullins, who was just with us a while back. And if you recall, Rob is a business media strategist, and he had a real great program with us, and he's been bugging me since he was on the air here a few weeks ago that he wanted to come back and take care of some unfinished business. And he's also been kind of clever and coy and hasn't told me what the heck the unfinished business is, but I've known Rob here for a while and trust him, so we're going to find out what the heck's going on. So you may be as surprised as I am today, but with that, I think we're going to holler and make sure that Rob's on the line. Rob, are you there?
Hey, Doug, I am. And you know what, Doug? You know what I'd like to do today? I didn't want you to know all the details, but last time when you interviewed me, I was thinking, I would love to ask Doug some questions. So I'm just going to ask you, can I interview you today? Let's turn it around. What do you think?
Thanks for all the advance notice here.
Yeah, well, you know what? I went out on the web and I did a little bit of searching around because you do have a wonderful website, which you can give us more information on that later on. But for those of you who may be listening to this either recording or live and don't know a lot about Doug Evans, there's some information there on the Blog Talk Radio. But he is a business breakthrough authority, and he is actually a certified licensed CPA, and he works with small and medium-sized businesses. And he helps them uncover underlying issues that are really causing them some business challenges right there. He's based in the Metro Detroit area, and he also is one of the first independent marketing directors for the national companies in Metro Detroit. So he's got a lot of really strong local roots there in Detroit, and he also has this nationwide radio program. So Doug, I think I'd like to ask you a few questions. So, and actually, I've got a few written down here. Can we just give it a go?
All right. Well, let's try this. Sure. Let's go.
Okay. Well, the one thing I was curious about is when you in your bio it talked about how you work with small and medium-sized businesses, but if you could take a little bit more, what are some of the types of people you work with, and what are some of the challenges they're often facing?
Well, I think, Rob, more than anything else, that's we came up with the Missing Power idea because to me that's kind of often the element that some of the business people I work with are missing. Usually they'll come to me after they really have this feeling that they're stuck. They think they kind of deserve better in life. Maybe they've lost the passion in their business, and they kind of know they need some help. So they're looking to kind of get that edge back. And I guess I would probably say most of the businesses I'm dealing with are 20, 30, 40 employees tops, and there's like one or two owners.
Okay. And it's interesting when you talk about that missing power. Something I've observed in my working with small business owners is that when you said like they feel stuck or they've lost their passion, they tend to redouble their efforts on the technical side of their business, and they say, well, I guess I got to increase my advertising budget, or I got to do more, things like that. Can you say a little bit more about what is it you think that causes business owners to not really understand what is the cause for that lost passion and why they're feeling stuck?
Well, I think that varies a little bit person to person, Rob. But it quite often is stuck somewhat in either their attitudes or their habits or their beliefs, and frequently it's a pattern they've gotten themselves into that they don't really realize exist.
Yeah. And, I suspect that when people are feeling stuck or that passion is, they feel like they're just on kind of a hamster wheel. How does that usually affect those business owners and maybe even the employees? Because there's 20 to 40 people in that small business. What are some of the impacts?
Well, once again, it goes back to what some of the issues are that they're dealing with. But it's kind of, as you say, when you're on that hamster wheel. I think kind of like the hamster, you're really going nowhere. You're stuck where you're at. You're probably working your fanny off and not really see anything. So that's kind of when the frustration kicks in, and maybe even a little of the hey, I give up attitude. And when that happens, as you said, it affects the entire organization. It'll affect the employees, and not only will it affect the employees, generally it's going to affect the home life of whoever that owner is. Be it a male or female owner. We work with both, but generally there's some kind of spillover to the relationship too.
So it really does go beyond the business. So, we've been talking kind of hypothetical. Maybe we could think of a specific example. Obviously, you wouldn't want to name names or expose anyone, but can you give kind of not a hypothetical, can you think of an illustration where you could describe a business owner who found themselves in that place of feeling stuck, and how it was that they contacted you, and how that conversation went? Can you think of an illustration or a story you can tell us?
Well, I think one of the stories that I'll share is quite often, Rob, I have worked with doctors, and the doctors quite frequently have money issues, and we can talk about the money issues maybe a little bit later, but that is what I have found. And I was actually contacted one time with this particular medical group where the mother of the doctors came to me. Now, the two doctors were in their late 30s, early 40s, were recognized as some of the top doctors around, but yet they just weren't making the money that even mom knew they should be making. They were hurting, getting by, and really what it had kind of really got this going was they were borrowing money from mom. And lo and behold, we got in. We kind of looked at what was going on. We followed some of the kind of some of the strategies that if we have time we'll get into later, and found out, lo and behold, that the docs were so busy with their medical excellence that they had not billed a third party, such as an insurance company, in over a year. So they were paying bills, they were taking care of their own pockets strictly with cash payments and co-pays at the door. So, and they didn't even truly realize it. I think they kind of knew it, but they definitely didn't realize the impact it was having on their business and their lives.
So it was like a blind spot, huh?
Oh, it was definitely a blind spot. I mean, and they were working 7 days a week and probably, 12 to 15-hour days. They were just so damn busy taking care of people, which indeed is what we want our doctors to be doing, that they kind of lost the entire oversight and the entire management responsibilities of running a business.
And Doug, I'll bet you there's some business owners listening today or to this recording who are finding themselves in that situation where the harder I work, the behinder I get, and they're hurting, and they're wondering, what am I missing? So the mothers came to you, and was it primarily they were concerned about the fact they were borrowing money, or what do you think the moms saw that the doctors didn't see?
I think the mom knew that the quality of care that both the doctors were providing, that both of them working 7 days a week, 12 to 15 hours a day, should produce a lot more cash and let both of the doctors live a much better lifestyle than they were. The mom was sharp enough to know that. She knew what the problem was, but she understood that much.
So you mentioned money. So do you find that there's a lot of business professionals who are higher earners, and they ought to have a fairly steady and comfortable stream of income, but they really don't because it's a money-based issue. What do you think is behind that?
Well, I think probably the number one problem I see with the business owners I coach, Rob, is in the area of money, and it's really money management. And most business owners just don't know how to handle money, how to really run their business, and keeping the bottom line in mind, as well as also trying to be sure that that they continue to grow the business. They're too busy making the widget. They're too busy seeing the patient than they are really managing the business. And those that once they do have problems, they kind of go into denial mode. They won't admit that they're hurting. They won't admit that money is an issue. For them, it's something that's really embarrassing, and it's tough to admit. And really, when you look at businesses nowadays, they don't teach how to run a business day to day, how to manage the business, how to manage your profits, how to manage the direction of your money. That's not taught really in college. It's not taught in high school. People may have parents that have had money issues, and lo and behold, they're in business because they're a great technician at whatever their specialty is, but they still can't handle money. And there's no real good examples out there that are easily accessible. Just take a look at what the heck's going on in Washington nowadays. Here even the country is in a huge deficit. We got an unbalanced budget, and kind of the solution's going to be let's go borrow some more money, and that's what I frequently see businesses do. They kind of spend, get the policy. They don't know where that money's coming from, so we just keep borrowing, and kind of hope things are going to be okay. And sooner or later, in the private sector at least, when you start borrowing money and can't start repaying loans, you're in big trouble.
Wow. And you know what, Doug, what was amazing, I'm sure a lot of people that are listening right now are thinking, hey, it's kind of like balancing your checkbook, you money in, money out, and keep track of whether you got enough money left there. And yet I'm hearing you say that bottom line is a lot of these professionals and doctors really don't know how to manage their money because they're so busy running their business. So
that's very true, Rob. And just look at, in North America alone, I know there's rough numbers about 25 million businesses. And if you go around, in darn near any kind of economic times, a little long when times are a little tougher, the numbers like 73, 74, 75% Americans say, hey, I'd love to go in business for myself because they want to be their own boss. But they, most of those people don't have the skills to run a business. That's why, 95% of businesses are closed within the first 5 years they're open. And, the number one reason they are failing is that people can't manage the money. They don't know how to handle day-to-day management of their business. And once again, I'm not talking about investing the money. That's another issue, and that involves all kinds of different experts. It's just the day-to-day operation of their business, of handling the money, and really being able to know how to direct that money to make sure that the business grows. And like I said, I often see that the doctors, because they're so immersed in their businesses, they work such long hours. They're not only do they have their office hours, but they're at the hospital beforehand, they're at the hospital afterwards. Bunches of them are handling emergencies at all kinds of odd hours. It slips away, and frequently you will see in medical practices it's often a wife, a husband, a mother, a sister, a daughter who's the office manager, and all they're lovely people. They have no idea at all of how to handle money. They're just there to help out. I remember another story. This wasn't actually one of my clients, but this was with one of my colleagues. They had a doctor client where mom was the office manager, and mom was the sweetest little old lady that you've ever seen, and she worked her fanny off, and she wanted to see her son succeed, no doubt about it. But lo and behold, what did mom do? Mom started finding billing issues that she didn't know how to handle, and she was embarrassed to go to son to say, I don't know how to do this. So what did she do? She actually got a saw, Rob, made a slit in the drywall right in front of her desk.
Seriously?
And every time she got some paperwork for billing, she didn't know what to do with.
Oh, no.
She slid it in this little slot.
All better.
Well, it took her son, I don't know, I think it was about 9 months to figure this out. Mom finally fessed up, brought the carpenters out to remove the drywall, and found something like $750,000 of billings that never happened because mom didn't know how to do it and didn't want to tell the son.
Oh, my goodness. So, Doug, part of what I've enjoyed about you and getting to know you is that not only do you have, your wonderful book that you wrote around the, a leprechaun in your pocket, the daily Irish inspiration. One of the favorite sayings that I heard you recently share was, and the reason I'm going to ask about your favorite sayings is I'm thinking when you think of stories like this, you've got to have a favorite saying around this whole medical and financial almost denial. One of the phrases that you used recently that I thought was great. In fact, I've got to figure out how to get it up on my wall. It's you said the road of life is paved with flat squirrels that couldn't make a decision. And when I saw that, I thought, that is classic. So when you think about these stories, Doug, is there some way that you like to characterize it or a favorite expression you've got?
Well, when it deals with the money management, I've definitely found that regardless of who I'm working with, Rob, they 99% of the time need tough love. And a lot of them, as I think I stated earlier, are in denial. I got a problem, but it couldn't possibly be how I handle money. I just don't have enough. And they kind of go round and round and round. And what I find frequently is, hey, I want to double, triple, quadruple my profits, but my God, Doug, don't ask me to change anything. This is the way we've done it for the last 20, 25 years. Don't even talk about changing. So I kind of came up with, to loosen them up a little bit, and I use it in my talks, and I'll actually use it in the coaching program too. It's a spin-off of an old expression that we probably can't say on the air, Rob, but it's, money talks and losers gawk. And, I just don't enjoy working with the losers. And like I said, the losers to me are those type of people that complain to you and complain to I and maybe bring in 15 different consultants and coaches and tell their spouses how lousy things are, and the buddies they're playing golf with, they talk about how lousy things are, but they're not willing to do anything about it. All they want to do is bitch. And really the lack of money is the number one reason that people have issues that are related to stress, hypertension, high blood pressure, which causes some other health issues. Often that lack of money is something that upsets in a relationship, and it's one of the number one reasons couples fight. is over money, and in a very, I'm not sure it made it up to number one yet. I'm not up on the stats, but it's one of the major reasons that people end up in divorce. People are very, when they're got the cash shorts, when things aren't going well, they're unhappy. They end up having problems at home because little Billy isn't getting his new bike, and Dad comes home all PO'd, and that leads to problems. And it snowballs, and it really does escalate, Rob.
Wow. Well, Doug, I'm looking at the clock here. About how much more time do we have before? Because I know we got to wrap this up soon. We got a few more minutes. I got actually one more question I want to ask you here. How are we doing on time?
We're doing well. We're doing well. We got about 10 minutes.
Okay. Oh, we do. Okay, good. Well, so when we get close, would you kind of give me just a little bit of a cue here? Because obviously, I'm on your radio show, and I don't have all this fancy stuff in front of me. I'm just calling from my home office here. So when you talk about all those people who need this tough love, and many are in denial, so there's got to be a lot of people who need your coaching. Do you coach just anyone who wants to work with you if they call you up? I mean, how do you respond to that?
Well, it's. I guess the answer is no, because I have found that if I work with literally just anybody, Rob, I'm kind of setting them up for, and I'm kind of setting myself up for failure, because I really have to talk to the business owner in advance and figure out if it's somebody who really is committed to make some changes in their business. They're committed to make some changes, maybe on their attitudes and beliefs, and that's what we talk about that early on, and I really do demand from my coaching clients that I get a full commitment from them and they understand, and it's a little tough because there's a sorting process, and there's a good maybe 20-35% of the people I talk to really don't want to do anything. They're making it sound good, but they're not. And I'm really looking for the acceptance and the willingness to look into changing the business, to take it from maybe money problems to really having some excellent profits and a real secure future. And I need to get the financial commitment out of the owners. It's going to cost some money to talk to myself and my team, and by the same token, often we find that there's some real necessary upgrades that are needed in the business. I mean, it could be from some new equipment to maybe a new computer system, to a new phone system, to a major marketing campaign, but something that needs to be upgraded. We may need to hire an office manager. We may need to hire one or two new people, and there has to be that willingness to make that investment. And what I really find, too, with the business owners, and this is the real deal breaker many times where I've actually started and then I have pulled away, is I've got to get the business owner involved in the process. I have to get them to commit to give me their time. And once I said working with doctors, that's tough. It's like you can have 2 minutes. And I'm like, Doc, we can't do crap in 2 minutes. We got to be able to set some time aside. I work with them. Sometimes I'm in, before they see patients, after they see patients, the lunch hour. Many docs have a day where they have a half day to do paperwork and catch up on things. But, we make it work. But as soon as they start saying, hey, I don't have time for you, it isn't going to work, because that's probably what led them to the problems to start with, that they're blowing it off, taking care of other things, and not taking care of this. And we got to get in there, and just kind of part of the process when I talk to them, because it takes time, it takes energy, is, I have to get in there and kind of study what the heck's going on. They have to be able to explain to me the problems they think they're having and why they think they're having these money issues. And at that point, after some dialogue, there has to be some trust. They got to trust me to really move ahead. And often, they won't tell me the main problem to start with. They kind of throw me a bone. They tell me, well, the reason we're not making money is the air conditioner's not working, or some total BS answer. And then it's up to me to kind of to see through that and try to figure out what the heck it's going, which makes it a little tougher on me, but it seems to be part of the process. Business owners don't like to tell you their dirty laundry and what's going on. And then it's kind of looking at the owner and trying to figure out where they're at with all of this. You know, why do they think they're not making money? How are they handling money? What maybe preconceived conditioning? What preconceived notions do they have of money? Is there some kind of issue that's happened in their past? Maybe even how they were raised. Maybe a bad former business experience that's really conditioning their thinking, and their thinking's kind of really screwed up of how to deal with this, and and then we move on as part of the process. We'll go in and I'll try to figure out some of their fears. And Rob, we all have fears, and if we had more time, I'd tell you that I swore I didn't have any, but I'm definitely wrong. But there's usually some kind of fear, and with a business owner, often it's like a fear of failure, of what happens if this business goes under. I don't want to go get a job. I don't know where I'll get a job. I'm too old to get a job. If my business goes under, my spouse isn't going to love me. I'm going to have a bad reputation in the community. I'm going to have to maybe sell the boat and sell the four-wheelers and get rid of one of the summer home, and my lifestyle is going to change. So there's a fear of all of that. So, that comes into play. And then only after I have that full understanding of kind of what the heck's going on can we really sit down and put together a specific action plan so that they can get a handle on their money, so they get a handle on their business, they can turn it around and start to make a lot of money. And I haven't found anybody yet that we can't turn it around with, but only if I get the commitment I just talked about. And then after we got the plan, the last thing I have to do, Rob, is kind of really inspire them, get them fired up, give them stuff to do, give them a plan, and then hold them accountable to that plan. And business owners don't like to be held accountable. They're control freaks. They got into business because they are a control freak, and they don't want to answer to anybody. That's why they went into business. So, to get them to commit to that is tough, and hold them accountable. Depending on who it is, sometimes I got to pull out a 8-foot-long 2x4 to kind of smack them with it, and others just kind of need the old velvet hammer approach with a little tap here and there, and that's enough to fire them up and get them to do what they need to do.
And you know what, Doug? Part of the thing that as I'm listening to you, I'm thinking, the people that actually get to work with you, because I realize that you've only got so many hours in the day, but the gift that you bring is you are not just a financial expert, you're a CPA, and so you understand business front to back and the numbers, and you can help people get a handle not only on the technical side of their business, but you can help them look inside and recognize that some of the way they think, some of the way they believe, and the choices they're making is really at the root of all this difficulty right there. So if people wanted to get in touch with you, how could they do this?
Well, the best way to get a hold of me is, as we promote, is through the website, which is, once again, www.discoveryourmissingpower.com. And if indeed they're looking for me, if they just go look for, Doug Evans or Coach Doug Evans out of Detroit, Michigan, they'll be able to find me on tons of social media and all kinds of other spots there, Rob.
Good deal. Well, they'll be lucky if they can have a chance to work with you. Well, I'm looking at the clock, and you know better than I how much time we have here, but I want to thank you, Doug, for letting me just kind of turn the tables on you, and the curiosity I had about what are you up to. You've given me some really important insights around some of the challenges that your, the clients that you work with, those medical professionals, the challenge they have, and the fact that you can bring that tough love and help them, really look inside and also be ready to make some hard investments and some hard choices. So thank you for letting me have this conversation with you.
Well, thank you, Rob, and somehow we just did that just right because we're running out of time. You turned the table on me. I wasn't 100% ready, but, this is stuff I, work with all the time. So, heck, just get me started, and I probably could have talked for another hour or two, but I'm really passionate about it. I've just seen too many business people hurt and suffer and just really screw up their lives, but when it's just so easy to make some often very subtle changes that'll just change the whole darn thing.
Yeah, well, it's been a good conversation, and I'm hoping that you'll have a chance to work with many people in the Detroit area. And quite frankly, you work with people all over the United States, don't you?
All over the United States, really all over the world. I probably deal with as many people overseas as I do here.
Oh, wow. Excellent. All right. Well, Doug, why don't I turn it back over to you, and you can bring this thing into a landing.
All right, Rob. Well, thanks for stopping by, and I guess turning the table. Now the mystery's solved, but I thank you for stopping by today, and I guess I got to blow my own horn a little bit, and I appreciate that. But we are out of time, everybody, so this is Doug Evans, and this is Missing Power Blog Talk Radio. I thank you all again for stopping by today. May God bless you all, and goodbye.